are again.
Talking more tropes today. What is it?
Slow burn, which is sort of the companion to our Insta Love one. Insta Love, fast and sizzling and lasting. And the slow burn, the slow simmering, and also lasting. Practically everything I write is the slow burn. So being a clean romance, well, because you can have that. It's like turning the oven on to heat it up. You know, you can have that little bit of sizzle at the beginning, but then you turn it down. It's like what you do with the roast. You get that nice overall sort of burn at the beginning, and then you just slow cook it for the rest of the day. So that's sort of what can happen in a lot of romances. I would say the key in a slow burn romance is that whole resistance to vulnerability. Whereas in the Insta Love ones, they are very willing to open themselves up to each other. And then the challenge is these external forces preventing them from that happening. With the slow burn, it's like they've internalized all that external forces saying that there's every reason for you not to be together.
X-Files, did you ever watch that show? I used to watch it until it scared me too much to be alone in my house and watch it. Mulder and Scully. Bernie, burn, 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 burn. That was really good.
They only needed to inject a little bit of lingering gaze now and again, the slight hiccup in their conversation, and every listener was just like,
but that doesn't mean we wanted them to ever get together. Sometimes when it's the slow burn is so lovely, but then they get together and it kind of wrecks it, especially in a TV show. That will wreck it. I mean, in a movie, you're usually like, you're waiting for that progression and wanting that end to happen. But in a TV show where you're really quite happy with how things are, maybe we shouldn't go there.
Because then it introduces a whole other element into the game. The only way that it can continue is if they mess around with it and drag that into the plot. It breaks it up too much, and then you don't know what you're watching.
Because you're trying to watch a mystery show or something. So it's just fun to have it laced with romance on the edge. And then they turn it into that. Like, but I was here kind of just for them solving a mystery every week. I don't need to know they need fertility treatments now. I just would really like to go back to how it was.
Just a few smoldering gazes between them was just enough. Yes. And then it's no longer a mystery. They've completely swapped the genre out for a family drama.
That their audience didn't sign up for. The audience did not sign up for that. And they're going to have a massive switch over, I would expect.
And I think ratings did dive because everyone jumped off of that.
Yeah, because their original audience did not care anymore. And then it really wasn't a kind of show to gather a new audience to replace the ones that they had originally charmed. They originally had Insta Love with, and then they broke up.
So what was that all for?
Yeah, why do it? I always wonder how that happens. I'd love to be a fly on the wall and see at what point a group of writers is like, you know what we need to do? They need to get together. Were they new that day? Like, I would love to know what the rationale is. Ratings are going down. We think we'll spice it up. I don't know. But it's such a break from format.
I agree. And I don't know that I want to get into the mind of a Hollywood writer, because the charm of a slow burn is that it doesn't need to then dominate any genre. So like what you're saying with science fiction and fantasy, I read, again, I come back to Scott Lynch, but he had this slow burn between the male lead and the female, who for the first two books we only knew about through flashbacks. She didn't really have any on-stage lines. And that was enough, because you got a sense that there's this powerful female, not quite an antagonist in his life, but certainly one that gave him a certain amount of, well, both passion and grief. And that was enough, right? There was a secondary character who had a sort of an onstage romance, which was good because you didn't need two competing in a book that was also an adventure on sea as well. So you didn't need to have all of that in there. But then when he wrote the third book and did this sort of flashback thing where she came more on stage and you got to see that kind of conflict, you realized that the main character was more of a slow burn sort of guy. He loved the idea of being in love. So actually having them together, it didn't quite work. It's a tough thing to pull off a romance when you're not a romance writer, because romance writers, we do have to research our craft to know how to pull it off each and every time. Just like I couldn't really write a fantasy novel to save my life, right? I don't know how to build a world. I'll just go to that world. What's your favorite, Insta Love or Slow Burn?
I'm changing to Insta Attraction and going to Slow Burn because I did not realize the error of my ways with Insta Love, although I still believe in it.
We see, and now I'm a convert because I was thinking, maybe I haven't fully converted, okay? Because if you see Insta Love as that attraction for the purposes of creating a lasting connection, then I'm for it. Because that's definitely what the Jill Bennett character, what she wanted. She wanted to have a lasting connection with this fellow, and she knew he was the one. So, yeah.
And I have to agree, one-sided Insta Love, like on a writer's perspective, and probably a reader to be interesting, much easier to deal with and much more interesting to watch the journey convincing the other person they Insta love you too, even if it's a little slow burner.
Yeah, suddenly Insta Love becomes a slow burn.
Boom.
All right. So like, comment, subscribe, and stay tuned. We're going to be producing a lot more of the trope videos. I think what we're planning for next week is the companion enemies to lovers, and then friends to lovers. That's coming up right away. And depending on how you're watching these videos, you may have already seen them, in which case, like, comment, and subscribe away. So until then.
Until then.
Bye, yeah.